Hi everyone, my name's Chloe. I'm a PhD student at the University of East Anglia, and what that means is I'm undertaking a degree in research. So I'm a academic apprentice. So my day-to-day life is, rather than being taught like you guys are in school now, or how you would be taught if you were in university, I teach myself with the help of other experienced researchers to be a researcher and to try and advance our knowledge and understanding of the world. So in my case, that means marine biology and computer science. So I am researching and learning and trying to advance what we know about those two sort of topics, where they meet. So when I was at school and I was your age and I was studying, I was really interested in science. I think I'd always been interested in science. Um, and there wasn't a particular topic that I think was my idea of what I would want to do at a job. I was still kind of confused at that stage. And it was only at going into college I started to think, okay, I'm going to choose sciences because that's what I'm interested in. So I chose chemistry, which I was really awful at and did not do very well. But I also did geology and I did geography and biology. And during that time, I actually became really interested in medicine, and I really wanted to be a brain surgeon specifically. And I was watching too many hospital dramas on TV, and I think me and my brother have been in and out of hospital a bit growing up, so I think I was quite fascinated. But something about the idea of that big lumpy blob in your head and how that controls us just really fascinated me. Um, but then I actually went to another university and a researcher was talking. He was a marine biologist and he was talking about the deep ocean and how he went in submarines like thousands and thousands of meters beneath the ocean. And he pulled out all these weird like animals in jars, and it was things like woodlice that look like they're this big. And that was just weird. They just all looked like these alien sort of creatures, and I was like, this just it really caught my attention. I found that fascinating, and I wanted to know more about this. And I'd always been a fan of the sea and the ocean, and I loved swimming, and I was always a fan of like being beneath the surface rather than above it. But I think that's when I started to think that maybe my love of science could be combined with that field. So when I was looking towards university, um, that is the subject I went with. I thought, okay, I think marine biology is the thing for me. I want to do what that guy does. I want to get in a submarine and I want to go down beneath the surface and see what's there to be found and discover new species. So I just want to show you some images of when we've been out on ships and we've been collecting data and imagery of the seafloor and looking where corals are found and fish and sharks and all kinds of really interesting animals and marine life, and show you some video clips of that, because I think if you can see it, then I think you'll see why I feel like I have the best job in the world. Okay, so here's a little slideshow of just some of the things that what life on the boat was like. So it's important that you look the part. So you're never going to get awards for fashion choice, unfortunately, if you take this sort of career. This is me and Amber and Grace, two other girls that were working on board. These are one of these was a PhD student, one was a master's student. I was actually a master's student as well at this time. This is the ISIS. This is the robot that we use to film the seafloor and collect samples. So there's lots of like sample dishes in that image. And this, so a big crane has to lift this into the water because it's worth so much money and it's such a heavy piece of equipment. And that will then go down to 2,500 meters at least. This is what it looks like in the room when we're watching the video. So these are all the pilots in the front who are controlling the submersible. And we sit in the back and we're taking notes. And this is the side of the ship. You can see the waters are very, very calm. Doesn't always happen. So a lot of the footage that you just saw was during a research cruise that I went on during my masters. I went to sea for 3 weeks. Didn't come back to land during that time. And it was one of the best experiences of my career, being able to see areas of the ocean that no one's ever seen before. We were the first ones to look at that area because it's just so big and there's so much to explore, and see all of the marine life live. So we would be sitting in this room where we can see all these cameras and they're driving the robots across the seafloor, and we're watching live as they're filming that. And that was a really great experience, and that's hopefully something that I will take forward into my future career, more research cruises like that. Okay, so now in my work, when you saw in the video, we have these big robots that we use to film the seam floor. We're getting all that imagery, and then the next step would be to get data from that, and that requires us to sit sort of painstakingly go through, watch a video and say that's that animal, there is this many of them, and that's really time consuming. That takes many hours of work, and it's not always reliable because you get tired, you get bored, and so we have to start thinking of ways to optimize that. And so this is where the computer science comes in. So I knew I'd get back to the brain eventually, so all of that past interest is coming up again. So I use something that is based on the neurons, the sort of the structure of neurons in the brain. That's where the idea came from, and they're called neural networks. And all this means is that we're using computers to learn how to recognize different species from images like people do. So we give a computer many images of different species of fish and different species of coral, and it learns how to recognize them. And so like even things like Facebook use this, and Instagram, and like, so whenever you have a picture and it comes up with like a little box around your face and it tries to tell you who is this person, or is this your friend, or is this Sarah, is this Mike, and that is using the same sort of techniques. It's learning and recognizing what is in the image. And so I'm trying to use that to see if we can use computers to analyze all this imagery of the seafloor, and that's going to make a massive difference for us, because instead of using all of our time to focus on just going through this imagery and going by hand almost and analyzing it, we can ask the computer to do that for us, and then we can ask even bigger questions, and we can work on like protecting these communities, and finding out describing new species, and building better maps of the ocean, rather than just spending all of our time watching video and trying to figure out what it is. So it's been really interesting. It's required a lot of sort of a steep learning curve on my behalf. I've had to learn a lot about maths, which has never been a strong suit for me, but I have found that actually, dare I say it, that I've enjoyed it, because it has been used and applied into something that I find interesting. And I think that makes all the difference. Sometimes when things are a bit abstract, you don't find the interest there, but when you apply it to something you love, you will like it. So I think for my future career, as I sort of alluded to before, I would like to carry on working at the university. After my PhD, I'm hoping to move on to the start of my research career, and it'll be something called a postdoctorate. And this is basically where you are just recognised as a researcher, and you, depending on your topic. So for me, to carry on looking at trying to protect deep sea communities, learn more about them, how do they live where they do, and how do these ecosystems interact with each other, the impacts of humans, and how can we protect them, and looking at technology's role in that and how we can use technology to improve our understanding and how quickly we can answer these really important questions. So I really want to carry on working at universities if possible, or for an independent research institute, or working in industry, anywhere where I can keep going this kind of day-to-day role that I currently do of mostly sitting at a computer and coding and using maths and to help me answer these questions, but also hopefully I can get out on the boat a lot too. That would be something that I'd be really interested in, and getting more hands-on experience. I never want to lose the practical element. That's why the mixture of marine biology and computer science is a good one. I think I get all of the best of both worlds.
So I guess one little bit of advice that I would impart based on my own experiences is that you definitely should follow your interests, but look for jobs that the kind of work that you would like to do in the future. So try and find the way that you can combine your interests with a job that actually exists and that is attainable for you. And don't be afraid to cross disciplines. It's a nerve-wracking and difficult job, but especially going forward in the future, things like combining technology and biology is very important. And so don't see things as very niche fields. You never know how you might have two different interests. You may have something very creative and something scientific, or something that is more to do with like political, like geography and the arts. And you can always look for ways to merge those two interests together, and that's something I'm really pleased that I've been able to do. Thanks for listening, everybody. Please check out if you're interested. All of the footage came from the Deep Links project, which you can find on YouTube. And yeah, I hope you will all be budding marine biologists one day, but best of luck with whatever you decide.